Hi, everybody. We are in New York. Thanks, Megan, for coming today. We are very excited to bring you another interview with a very inspiring author. Her name is Megan Miller. I met her some months ago, and she wrote this amazing book, and she's here with us today. Welcome, Megan.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being here. And thanks all of you who are listening to us or watching us on the YouTube channel. It's a very sunny day, especially to talk about languages and connections. So, Megan, let us know more about you for those who are not familiar with your business.
Yes, so I first started learning Spanish with my mom. She took a Spanish class with our community college and she wanted to become a teacher. So I just kind of glommed on to her and her homework and thought this is an amazing thing to have. So to have a whole other language and culture and more languages and more dialects and more cultures than I ever could find in my hometown of Ohio. And just kind of went on from there. High school, university, working in Spanish, and now writing a book and being an author in Spanish.
Yes. And well, we met, let's mention Kirsty.
Yes.
Kirsty Wolf, we met in an online meeting, of course, talking about languages and communication. And Megan right now lives in Washington, D.C., and she came all the way there to New York, where I am, in order to talk about this. And what I really loved about the book is in English and in Spanish, yes? Hablar y trabajar is it's very friendly, and it's like a ongoing practice, yes, and
Yes.
a book that you cannot you can continue reading it every time.
Yes, it was created to revisit. In order to
Revisit.
revisit, the more that you learn, the more that you feel confident and comfortable, then you revisit. And it's that constant perpetuity that is the wonderful and the hateful thing of language, is that you're never fully done. It's going to change no matter what. So you're always learning, and that's one of the things that I love about it.
Yes, and Megan has an excellent way of teaching this, because there are different chapters, and the verbs that are a nightmare for all of us in any language, I think, are very well explained with detailed examples. What do you think, according to your experience with your clients, is the most difficult verb to explain in English? The most difficult Spanish verb, of course, to explain in English for your classes, in your classes.
I would definitely say ser and estar.
Oh,
And it's one of my favorite things because if you take the linguistics away from the actual verb conjugation for a second and you think I can be in two different areas, soy y estoy, then understanding that concept helps understand the verb itself. So you have two different very different verbs that mean the same thing, two very different conjugations. Once people get over that initial hump and you start working with it more, even to this day, I'm still working on ser and estar. I'm like, should this be fue? Should this be era? Should this be estaba? And knowing the nuance, because the nuance is always there, knowing that nuance and really just kind of grasping it and giving it a little hug is is always a good part for any adult student.
yes, and it's so different than the English language, yes?
Oh yes, you have even tener. Tengo sed, tengo hambre. It's something that you have, and in English we always say that it's something that we are. I am hungry. I am sad. Are you sad temporarily? Are you sad permanently? Are you depressed? So having that nuance and using the verb as the star just definitely helps people actually explain what's going on inside their heads.
Yes, so hard. Well, my mother tongue is Spanish, of course, so, but I see that some people who are Spanish speakers, but not with their mother tongue being Spanish, find it hard. And even though they are very well educated, they make mistakes sometimes in verbs.
Everyone does. Everyone does. And as soon as you get over that hump of embarrassment, of vergüenza ajena, then you can start to really learn, and you can laugh at your mistakes. Sometimes I'm like, oh, a veces digo tonterías. They are just silly little things, and it helps you take yourself less seriously.
Yes, you're right. And what do you recommend? It's here. You have to read it. But if you can give us a hint of what's your best recommendation to improve or to learn more about these verbs that are a nightmare sometimes.
I always love finding verbs in the wild. So whether it's verbs, whether it's phrase like por la noche versus en la noche and things like that, you know, are different little ways to say things like at nighttime. For example, I use music a lot, and I use movies, documentaries, but really the most important thing is to do what makes you happy. If music isn't your thing, maybe poems are. And that's where you can learn and really dive into the world of poetry in Spanish. So it's really just kind of honing into what makes you feel alive and then doing that just in Spanish.
Exactly. And how often do you recommend to do that?
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. Now, before you start taking out your planners and diaries, every day for 5 minutes. 5 minutes every day is going to help your memory actually grow in a way that is sustainable and scalable versus trying to cram in all that you know about Spanish verbs in an hour. Um, 5 minutes every day is much better than 2 hours one day. It's going to help your memory, and it's going to help you actually grab that memory so that you can solidify it and consolidate that language and that knowledge in your head.
That's a tiny habit that it's very doable. So we have to. So 5 minutes every day, and that will like build up and have a better Spanish.
Yes. And if you do more than 5 minutes, then that's great. But 2 minutes, 5 minutes, have that baseline. We're all busy, but it's really about prioritizing what is most important to you and doing it in a way that is fun more than anything.
And talking about fun things, Megan wrote this amazing book and also has a very friendly, amazing podcast about this English and Spanish communication. Can you tell us more about it, Megan?
Yes. So, una palabra sola was created so that it's one word, just one word. And we dive into the etymology, the history, the language, the uses of what that one word. So sometimes it's a verb, sometimes it's an adjective, but whatever it is, it gives you a little something to think about throughout the rest of your day.
Yes, I like it a lot, and I learned a lot every time I listen to it. And how do you prepare for that? Do you research, or are there words that are you found while working? On how is the process?
So usually it's a word that's been in my head for some whatever reason. Maybe it's a word that came up in my Spanish lessons that week, or it's a word that a student had an issue with, or it's just kind of a mantra, something that I'm reacting to. And I go to a couple different places. Wordreference.com is one of my favorite free resources. Also RAI. So I go to the Real Académica Española. And I also look it up through Maria Molinier's Diccionario de Uso de Español.
Ah, that's great. Because Megan, I forgot to mention, studied and lived 3 years, am I right, in Spain or more?
It felt like
Tell us
3 years.
About it.
It was a
About
semester.
that experience.
I was 19. I still do, to this day, do not know how. My parents approved this, but I was 19. I flew to Amsterdam all by myself, and through the the next 2 weeks, we ping-ponged, myself and my university group, through international businesses, political organizations, associations, and we just learned everything that there was to learn about life in Europe. And then we landed in Madrid, and I spent a semester studying in Madrid.
Wow, amazing experience.
Yeah.
So you were there, like immersed in that culture, the Spanish-speaking people, and all that. You liked it.
Yes, very much. It was a little burbuja, so I was in my own little bubble, and then to this day, I still use some of the things that I did in Madrid. So, listening to the same artists or creating my own little Spanish practice bubble as well.
Yes. Do you have a favorite website, Spanish website that you usually read, for example, for the news or?
So I have a website that I use from MIT, and it has a list of all of the Spanish newspapers. So sometimes if I'm feeling frisky, I'll take a look through there, or I'll read BBC Mundo or El País from Spain, or my local paper has a Spanish-speaking news as well.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
In Maryland. In
Yep. So El Tiempo Latino covers all of DC, Maryland, and New York. And a lot of times, if you're in the US, your newspapers will probably have a Spanish speaking component as well.
Wow, so it's the same news in English and in Spanish.
Yep.
And they are well done. I mean,
Yes.
because sometimes in Argentina we don't see that very well prepared. No, not a lot of quality control before publishing, but here, yes.
At least in El Tiempo Latino.
That one is curated. Perfect, Megan. And your days are usually like teaching, working on the new words, and what else? What can you let us know so people can also find you and hire you for different uh, webinars or?
So I've been teaching business English for the past 7 months now, almost exclusively. So the next kind of project that I'm working on is talleres, so workshops for business English, for either for Hispanohablantes or, on the flip side, workshops in English for Spanish. Really just hyper focusing on a few different things to focus on versus here's all of the Spanish verbs and let's learn all of them in 12 weeks, which is overwhelming for anyone. So I'm helping organizations solve their one problem. And then for individuals and for people out there, I also have the Deseo program. So all you need is un deseo, is just a wish to learn Spanish. And then I supply you with the basics. You can learn where your gaps are, fill in those gaps in your learning, and go even further in Spanish.
Well, it's doable. So I like that, the name, it One Wish, the Deseo program. That's amazing.
Thank you.
And this can be done virtually or in person or?
It is all virtual. I open the doors twice a year, so in the spring and in the fall. And most of it is virtual classes, and then we get together and either watch cortometrajes or short films, or we do a reading club, a little book club. So we have 3 live events that are really just geared toward those people in that program.
Wow, and spring is coming here.
Spring is
in
coming.
the US. Are we still in time to register?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll provide all the links on the notes of this recording, also podcast. And for you, if you are interested, no matter where you are or where you live, you can connect and speak and learn Spanish or English with Megan. And Megan, as a communicator and a language lover that we are, I always find, mainly when we are traveling or going to different places, words or phrases that caught our attention. Which or is or are yours?
So Aprovechar was probably the first big one. It's something that my host mom always told me in Spain was to aprovechar la ciudad, aprovechar la experiencia. And so to this day, it's this constant reminder, just aprovechar, what can I take advantage of? What can I make the most of? And the reason why I decided to name my business this was there's so many tools out there, and it's really finding the one that you want to make the most of for your specific situation at this point in time. The other word that has been in my head a lot is dejar. So there's a lot of ruido. There's a lot of challenges. Everyone has their own issues and problems. And if we can dejar, or just leave or allow or surrender to the things that we can't control and really focus on what we can and what is in our circle of control, then I find that I am much happier.
Yes, and it's hard because it's hard to leave behind or to accept that perhaps there is something that is no longer good for you, or life evolves and transforms. So being aware of that and being courageous to make the decision is also big, isn't it?
Very much. Right now, I'm just working on dejar, so dejando my ice cream habit every day. So we'll see how that goes.
Yes, you're right. So tiny habits make a big difference. And as Megan is also a strong advocate on continuing education, learning, we will continue learning till the day that we die. Yes, there's no end to this. So let's keep on doing it and working on it every day of our lives, right?
Exactly. All we can do is the best we can, and every day. So
and that's enough.
Yes. It is very much is enough.
Yes. And Megan, do you have any podcast or I don't know, video, YouTube channel, or apart from yours, of course, that I'm going to list here, that you usually recommend or think is good to, let's say, supplement your learning, your teaching?
Yeah, No Todo Film Fest is one of my favorite YouTube channels for cortometrajes, for short films. Attitudeable.
Attitudeable podcast. Yes. Thank you.
Right. Instituto Cervantes has a lot as well. So I'm all about finding free resources out there that mean the most. So whether that's poems or Substacks or YouTube, whatever that is for you and whatever mode you like to learn.
And do you usually listen to these podcasts weekly or daily, or depending on?
Generally, depending on my mood, depending on everything. But one of my favorite things is to just put on a podcast and go for a nice yoga stretch or go for a walk or something. Low impact, so I can focus on those words.
Yes, that's the way. Thanks a lot, Megan. It's been such a pleasure meeting you here in New York in a sunny day. So I'll give all the notes for you to buy the book. It's online, digital, and to follow her on the YouTube channel, her podcast, to keep on learning, improving, because perhaps you speaking Spanish or English, but we always have to improve if we speak more than one languages, because it's only one our own like native language, so we have to keep on working on it to be fluent and learn more. So thank you for being here. Thanks, Megan. Thanks all of you for listening, and till next time.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Thanks. We did it! I love it. Let me see if it went well.
We didn't even get an ambulance nearby.
Nothing. Finalizar. Let me see. Ah.